Today we delve deep into the vault of Shonen Jump Axed manga and begin a series I've wanted to start for a while, the X-Files. Is this a way for me to shamelessly make X-Files references? Yes, but it's also going to be a legitimate exploration into the various Axe manga in Weekly Shonen Jump. Bring up maybe why it got axed, and see what you guys think about the series and ask if it was fairly axed or not. And based on a few polls I did on YouTube and Twitter, the first series we'll be covering is 2021's Red Hood by author Yuuki Kawaguichi. Let's open this Axe file up then. Full name: The Hunters Guild Red Hood, colloquially abbreviated as just Red Hood. Start date: June 27, 2021. End date: November 8, 2021. Total chapters: 18. Although extra chapters and one-shots bring this up to 23, for the purpose of this video we'll be documenting the original run in Weekly Shonen Jump, so we'll only be looking at the first original 18 chapters. The author Yuuki Kawaguichi looks to have started their public manga career by working as an assistant for Kohei Horikoshi on My Hero Academia, which is evident as Kawaguchi's art style evokes elements of My Hero, especially the character designs. Kawaguchi would go on to make several one-shots before submitting one named Red Hood to the 2020 Gold Future Cup, a yearly manga competition specifically made to promote rookie mangaka. I'll leave a link to my video on the Gold Future Cup below if you want to know more about it. Kawaguchi would end up winning this competition, getting the right to serialize a manga in Weekly Shonen Jump, and that's how Red Hood began. Now that we know a little bit about the author and what led up to Red Hood serialization, let me give you a quick rundown on the actual series and its story. Our tale begins in the small hamlet of Kasuga Village, which is being plagued by werewolves. Our main character, Velo, is introduced and attempts to reassure the village that they have him to protect them, but no one seems to take him seriously. To actually combat these werewolves, the mayor calls the Hunters Guild, known across the land for their prowess in exterminating monsters. A small girl called Grim arrives, who is a Hunters Guild member, and Velo follows her on a hunt, and we get to see various wacky gadgets being used. The two track down the werewolves, and Grim transforms into a tall, busty lady and fights them. We then get a visit from Cinderella the Ashen Witch and her large wolf companion, who destroy the hamlet and give Velo the motivation of wanting to join the Hunters Guild to stop events like this from happening again. We then get a whole training exam arc in a mobile fortress called the Ironworks, where a ton of characters are introduced, including fan favorite Debonair, and I can see why a lot of people like this manga and still make fan art based on a few of the characters' designs.
Mommy?
Sadly, by the time this tag training arc ends in chapter 15, I think the axe was already decided, leading it to end just 3 chapters later. Red Hood's ending is a little odd, with the cast reaching the Hunters Guild headquarters and a lot of memory manipulation happens because the laws and truths of this world are tied to a book called the True Book. Anything written within it becomes true. Ludwig Geppetto, an old member of the Hunters Guild and the mayor at the beginning of the story, erased his own name from the book and stole some of the pages, and then joined a freedom fighter group called the Red List, who want to stop the Hunters Guild from running the world with the book, as they cause incessant tragedy. The story warps to become a meta-commentary on the act of consuming stories, it mentioning these godlike beings called readers and how they forced the horrible events upon the world to make a good story, because a story without conflict that ends too easily would be boring. Velo is then ultimately given the decision to end the story in a way he wants, with him choosing not to end the story, which is incredibly ironic since that is the final chapter. Jump axes usually have similar ending strategies, and you can categorize them usually. In Red Hood's case, we have a meta ending, which sometimes occurs in Jump manga, usually when the author is frustrated with how Jump works and that their story is going to end, not by their choice, but by the choice of others, so they lash out and try to be witty about it. Red Hood might have been planned to be this meta from the beginning though, so it's a little hard to tell if this was a spontaneous choice or not. The other type of ending Red Hood has is a very common one for Axe manga, and that is the journey continues type of ending. With this ending, the story in universe doesn't actually end, and often characters will say something like, "Our journey has just begun." It's very cliche if you've read a lot of Jump Axe manga, as you'll see it all the time. I kind of find it funny that Velo's meta choice was to pick the type of ending that is very in line with Shonen Jump on a meta level, so perhaps this choice was on purpose. Next we'll be examining the series and talk about why it might have been axed. This is purely conjecture and just for fun, so don't take this too seriously. In Red Hood's case, I think pacing was its killer. While I like the beginning Hamlet arc, it takes 4 total chapters to really resolve the first encounter before the next big plot event happens, and then the village we've been protecting so far gets destroyed. This serves to give Velo some strong motivation, but I don't think it works very well. It wastes your time, and I think Velo could have been motivated by wanting to protect others in a simpler way. We then get the tag exam arc, which is the biggest pacing issue in the manga. It's just not very exciting, especially after fighting the werewolves, and it takes up way too much time and introduces too many characters at once. Battle manga also have a rough time in Jump because it's been its bread and butter for a long while. In issue 49 of Jump, when Red Hood ended, I'd say about 8 manga were solid battle series. One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen, Black Clover, My Hero Academia, Undead Unluck, Mashle, Elusive Samurai, and Sakamoto Days. All of these are different in their own way, but they also overlap in what they're trying to do somewhat, being primarily battle focused. The next issue would also see the beginning of 3 new manga, so space needed to be made, and that's ultimately why Red Hood was axed, I think. So if that's why it potentially got axed, let's now ask if it deserves to get axed. Honestly, I don't think it was really providing anything new to the magazine, and it didn't really find its feet quick enough. It had the potential to be a strong adventure action series, and more chapters could have seen it become something great, but I'm not sure what we would axe instead of it. Maybe Magu-chan at the time, and that's gonna ruffle some feathers for Magu fans. I'm sorry, Magu fans. As for what you guys think of, let's have a look at our subscriber and Twitter polls. So almost half of the people on YouTube didn't think it deserved to get axed, with a quarter either being indifferent or thinking it did deserve the axe. It seemed that people liked the ideas and concepts Red Hood played around with, but some found it struggled after the first few chapters. One comment even mentioned the way it got axed made it more interesting, which is something I definitely agree with. Meanwhile on Twitter, a large portion of 37% were indifferent, and there were a higher percentage of people who thought it deserved the axe at 34%. It seems my Twitter followers are a bit more critical. More than a few comments thought Red Hood deserved the axe, citing its second arc as the big problem, but also stating that they liked elements and that it did have potential. Artwork and world were brought up as positives a few times, which I agree on, as I think they were some of Red Hood's stronger elements. Obviously, there's also huge fans who were saddened when it ended, which is the case for most Axe manga. Red Hood in particular though was very popular in the West, and even managed to get an English physical volume release, which is really rare for an Axe manga. Despite its boldness and its attempt to do something interesting, I find it a bit overcomplicated, and it tries to cram too many ideas into its final 3 chapters to really follow through with anything. Retrospectively though, I appreciate it, it's interesting, and I think it's a worthy Axe manga to be the first one I cover for the Axe Files for its meta commentary. My overall thoughts are that it's a solid middle-of-the-road Jump manga with some really nice artwork. The monster designs in particular are inspired, and I think Kawaguichi will only improve from here. The audience response was expected too, it being fairly mixed but not overly negative. Most people can point out that Red Hood had some potential, which makes sense as it was one of the most mourned axes in recent years. So where are we now? Since its axe, what has Yuuki Kawaguichi been doing? Thankfully they're still making manga. They've released a few one-shots and are now working as the artist behind Nazotoki Hakase no Hirameki Iseki Tankenki, a hybrid manga novel interactive puzzle thing that seems really neat where you solve actual puzzles as part of the narrative. It's published in the new educational-oriented Study Jump, which I think is only a seasonal magazine, not something you do full-time, so perhaps Yuuki Kawaguchi is working on some other one-shots or secret projects in between doing this. Hopefully we see them again in Jump or somewhere else. And with that, we've come to close on our first Axe file. There'll be many more to come in the future, so consider sticking around and subscribing for more content like this. I'm looking forward to see how you all feel about Red Hood. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Were you sad when it ended? What other Axe series would you like me to cover? Please leave a comment below. In the meantime, while I make more videos, you can check out my various other manga related videos like my History of Shonen Jump series, where eventually I'll be talking about Red Hood again, maybe in about 10 years when I'm caught up. For now though, thank you all for watching, be kind to each other, and take care.
Oh yeah. Damn boy. Damn boy, he's thick, boy! That's a thick ass boy! Damn!